Good evening. Namaste. This is Dr. Aparna. I am your emotional healing synergist. I am an Ayurvedic psychotherapist, a passionate Ayurveda and psychotherapy infopreneur, medical writer, and a budding YouTuber. In my pursuit to address, promote, and propagate Ayurveda and psychotherapy globally, I come up with discussions on either Ayurveda or mental health or psychotherapy and related aspects. So, in this discourse, what I do is I do book reviews or full book summaries and synopses of the books in the self help category in the mental health arena. So, uh, last two sessions we were discussing about a book called Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman, and how emotional intelligence is sometimes more important than intelligence quotient. So why EQ is more important than IQ in our lives. So we were discussing that, and I would like you to refer the first two sessions to know the import what is emotional intelligence, the importance of emotional intelligence, the highlights of the concepts, and the reasons to read the book Emotional Intelligence. All of these is being covered in the first two sessions. So just to revise, you know emotional intelligence refers to the ability to perceive, understand, manage, and express emotions effectively. So, it is everything about, perceiving emotions, understanding emotions, managing emotions, and expressing emotions. Not only our emotions, but also, others' emotions as well. So it usually encompasses of self awareness, self management, empathy, and social skills. So this we had discussed in the previous sessions. So if you see in my background, you can see that what are the emotional intelligence, what are in our control. So you can see there my boundaries, my thoughts, the goals I set, what I give my energy to, how I speak to myself, and how I handle challenges. Emotional intelligence can be used in the areas that you can control, you have your a control on. That means your boundaries, your thoughts and actions, the goal you set, you know what for what you dedicate your energy to, how do you speak to yourself, then what you tell yourself, and how do you handle challenges. So this is like emotional intelligence in action, wherever you can control. So where you cannot control, so wherever you cannot control, so you cannot control, do not have any control of your past, of your future. You have control only on your present, and you do not have control on what happens around you, and you do not have control on what others, what people other people think about you, and what are the actions of the others, and you do not have control over the opinions of others and the outcome of your efforts. You do not even have the control of the outcome of your efforts. That is well said in Bhagavad-Gita, that you are only entitled to the work you do, not to the results associated with that. So you do not have a control on the outcome of your efforts. So, and you do not have control about how others take care of themselves. So what this picture says, that is in my background, is that you only have the emotional intelligence works in the places where you have control over the situation. You only can control your present, not your past, not your future. So so if I have to, people last time when I talked about emotional intelligence, people asked me to explain more about the examples. Give us some examples, how emotional intelligence can play a role. So in every sphere of life, may it be professional, may it be personal, you know we'll see that. So we'll see some examples. So here I would like to call this as emotional intelligence in action. So in personal sphere, in the self awareness arena, so for example, so if you are able to recognize your feelings of anxiety before a presentation, and you practice either breathing exercises, or either you control, you have a control of the feelings of your anxiety before a presentation, or the some exercises to calm down. So that is emotional intelligence. So you're recognizing your feelings of nervousness, your feelings of anxiety, you're recognizing that, and you're taking action, you're managing your feelings, your emotions there. So if at all, if a person does not have emotional intelligence there, so without it, what will happen? You will panic, or you will perform poorly, or you will potentially reinforce negative self beliefs. You will think that I am never will be I never will be capable of giving a presentation or speaking in public. You will reinforce negative self beliefs if you don't apply emotional intelligence there. So another example, so it would be, if you have had any personal achievements, so celebrating personal achievements, even if it is small or if it is big. Why? To boost self esteem and most motivation. You celebrate all your personal achievements, you kind of reward, whether it is big or whether it is small. Why are you doing that? To boost self esteem, and to boost no, to give create a sense of motivation. So without it, what happens? You are constantly focusing on shortcomings. That means you're constantly focusing on your past failures, maybe leading to low self confidence and missed opportunities. You might miss opportunities as well. So like this, in the sphere, in the personal sphere, in the self awareness thing. And then if we see self regulation, so for example, you might have heard of procrastination. Procrastination means postponing or purposeful delaying. So procrastinating on a task, but setting a timer and working in focused bursts to overcome the urge to delay. So you are if you have a habit of procrastinating, what you do is you set a timer, and you're working in focused time periods. you know the you are overcoming the procrastination. You have found a way to overcome your procrastination. For that, you have to realize that you are procrastinating. By the way, that means you have a habit of delaying or postponing things. Then what you can do, you can take action how to prevent procrastination, or how to overcome the urge to delay. If you do not act with EI, that is EQ, emotional quotient, what happens is you are giving in to impulsiveness, and you are neglecting responsibilities. That leads to stress, and that also lead to missed deadlines. So if you are giving in to the impulsiveness and neglecting responsibilities, So that leads to stress and missed deadlines. This might happen if you have less emotional intelligence or if you do not apply the EQ. And for another example, so you you have to sometimes be assertive and constructive at the same time during a disagreement with a loved one, or a or a colleague. If it is in the personal sphere, we are talking about the personal sphere. If you are example, you have to express anger on something, you are doing it assertively. That means thought through things. So thought through assertiveness, and you're doing it constructively, so your relationship does not get affected, and you can express your concerns also. So you can do both if you act with emotional intelligence. Otherwise, what happens, there is a chance of bottling up of emotions or lashing out. Either you collect all the emotions and store it, either you do not speak at all, or what you will do, you will lash out verbally or physically. What happens in turn, it is damaging relationships. So to prevent relationship damages, to protect the relationship, you should act with EQ, emotional quotient, with emotional intelligence. So we have talked about professional sphere here. Now, personal sphere here. Let's talk about professional sphere. What happens in, the professional aspect of it. So, in the social awareness, like, you know, recognizing, so what you do is, if you are emotionally intelligent, you can recognize a colleague's non-verbal cues of discomfort during a meeting and adjusting communication style accordingly. If a colleague, you can understand verbal and non-verbal cues. If you are emotionally intelligent, you can do that, and you can adjust your communication style accordingly. So and if you do not have emotional intelligence, you will be insensitive to others emotions, so you will create a tense and unproductive work environment. So if there is a lack of emotional intelligence, then there will be then a person will be insensitive to others emotions. So what will happen as a result, there is a tense and unproductive work environment. You'll make yourself an envy. So next, in social awareness thing, so if a person is highly emotionally intelligent, so the person actively listening to the feedback and showing willingness to learn and improve from constructive criticism. If a person is emotionally intelligent, a person will always actively listen to the feedback and is willing to learn and improve from what, if it is constructive criticism. Constructive criticism in is something which is done to improve you, in the intention to improve your performance. It is not done with the intention to pull you down. That is what constructive criticism is. So that means an emotionally intelligent person will take the constructive criticism, will actively listen to it. So taking or if a person is suppose not emotionally intelligent, that person taking criticism, he takes the criticism personally and becomes defensive. And what happens, this hinders his personal professional growth. If you take criticism very personally, what happens is, if we take for example any criticism very personally, we usually often become defensive. What happens, there is a chance that our professional growth is hindered. because the person, constructive criticism means they're adding to what you have. That means the criticism is intended to improve, not to, demean or to bring you down. So or out of jealousy. It could be out of concern, not out of jealousy. So next is relationship management here in the professional sphere. So showing empathy. So for example, showing empathy and understanding when a colleague is going through a difficult time, offering support without judgment. So, in emotional intelligence, I have talked about the importance of empathy. Showing emotionally intelligent person is always empathetic and understanding when a colleague is going through a difficult time, and he or she offers support without judgment. So, without it, what will happen? Dismissing someone's struggles or offering unsolicited advice. So you are not empathetic towards someone's struggle, or you are only offering unsolicited advice, potentially making them feel isolated and unsupported. So what happens is you are making that your colleague feel isolated and unsupported. So you might break a relationship here, professional relationship. You are damaging or injuring the professional relationship. So the second example. So here a person who is emotionally intelligent celebrates team successes together, and he or she acknowledges individual contributions. So what happens here? It fosters or improves or increases collaboration and motivation. you know if a person EQ is high, that is emotional quotient is high, he or she celebrates team successes together, does not take every credit for himself or herself, acknowledges individual contributions. So you this person has done this, that person has done that, acknowledges every individual contribution. So this increases or fosters collaboration and motivation. So without EQ here in this scenario, taking credit for achievements, a person who is not emotionally intelligent will take all the credit, whether he has worked or not, for himself or herself, and he or she always blames others for failures. So this leading to resentment and demotivation within the team. So people, if you don't acknowledge their individual contributions, or if you don't give them credit, what will happen? That they will resent, and they will be demotivated within the team. There will be demotivation within the team. So the next scenario here is motivational achievement. So for example, an emotionally intelligent person sets realistic and achievable goals. That you might have heard of SMART goals, specific, measurable, all those, SMART. So setting realistic and achievable goals, breaking them down into smaller steps to stay motivated and track progress. So this person is setting realistic and achievable goals, is having has a strategy, and he or she also has steps to stay motivated and track progress. So without EQ, what might happen is setting unrealistic expectations and not breaking them down. So if you don't break your goals into smaller steps, actionable steps, what happens is you ultimately feel overwhelmed. So that leads to procrastination and finally giving up. So that's why here EQ is important here as well. So the next example would be learning from mistakes and setbacks and viewing them as opportunities for growth and improvement. So, if a person's EQ is high, then what that person does is he or she learns from their mistakes, his or her mistakes and setbacks. So, what they do, they view them as opportunities for growth and improvement. So, what happens? Otherwise, what happens? They might dwell on their feelings and feel discouraged, like why this happens to me only, why I'm not being able to make it, all this dwelling on the failures and feeling discouraged. This prevents the ability to learn and bounce back, to be resilient. So, emotional intelligence is not about being perfect here. I'm not saying that a emotionally intelligent person is a perfect human being. It is just about being aware of your emotions and having the skills to manage them effectively. So by practicing, emotional intelligence, what happens is we can navigate our challenges, build stronger relationships, achieve our goals with greater clarity and purpose. So this is, a brief of examples of what, how can emotional intelligence play a role in, navigating challenges, in building stronger relationship, in achieving our goals in every sphere of life, may it be personal, may it be professional, may it be motivational. So we are entering to the chapter 2 now, part 2. Part 1, if you want, you can refer to my previous session. Part 1 of the book Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman is is discussed in the in the second session. That means in the previous session. All the sessions are available on both LinkedIn and YouTube. So here the part out the nature and the ingredients of emotional intelligence. So the components of emotional intelligence, the author gives the details the components of EI or EQ. So what are they? Self awareness, self regulation, empathy, and social skills. So, each component contributes to understanding emotions, managing behavior, and fostering better relationships. So, example, self regulation. What does self regulation means? Managing stress in a challenging situations. Empathy in leadership, for example, understanding team members concerns and addressing them effectively. So we are discussing about, one by one we are discussing about concept. So what is emotional self awareness? So emotional self awareness refers to the ability to accurately recognize and understand your own emotions as they arise. That means it involves being mindful of your internal states. So, include your thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, and behavioral responses. So, if you ask me that how to be mindful of our internal state, how to include our thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations, and how we respond, our behavioral response to the situations. So, what we can do is first thing we can start analyzing and we can journal everything. So, this was the scenario I behaved, I this was I be being mindful, I did analyze my feelings, I did assess my feelings, analyze my feelings, and I behaved. So all this you can start with, journaling, writing everything initially, at least in the initial stages of, trying to improve emotional intelligence. Journaling at least has helped me very much. So What does it do? This awareness allows you to make informed choices so about your actions and navigate life's challenges effectively. So what we do, we make informed choices. That means thought through choices. So for example, so as I said, you always for example, you notice your heart rate is increasing and your palms are sweating before giving a presentation. So you're recognizing these physical signs of nervousness. Once you had that, you just note it down. Okay, I recognized these signs when I was about to give a presentation, or when I was about to give a public talk. What you do is you come prepared for that next time you give a presentation. You make informed choices. You either take deep breaths, to reduce it, or you do you follow your own some of the techniques. You come prepared next time if you know what is happening, if you recognize what do you feel, and how do you if you recognize these physical signs of nervousness in this case. So the second example would be, when if you could identify a feeling of frustration bubbling up when you are struck in traffic. So recognizing that this emotion might be influencing your driving behavior. So if you could identify a feeling of frustration and when you're stuck in traffic. So if you recognize that emotion, what it happens is you make informed choices how to react from next time, influencing your driving behavior. So the next example could be, you if you could reflect on a recent argument with a friend. Okay, why did I have an argument with my friend, and identify the underlying emotion that contributed to the conflict. If you could do that, if that is anger or disappointment, what you do is you can be next time you can make informed choices. That means you can avoid that anger or disappointment when you are talking to your friend. So if you can reflect on a recent argument with it could be in a personal relationship or in a professional relationship, and you can identify the underlying emotions that contributed to the conflict, and accordingly you can act the next time, take action the next time. So next is emotional self management. Earlier we discussed emotional self awareness. So to being self aware of the emotions, of our emotions. So emotional self management here. So what is emotional self management? Is emotional self management involves the ability to regulate and control your emotions in a healthy and constructive way. So this includes techniques like deep, when you are aware of your emotions, now you're managing emotions. So here, this in this it is, it could be the deep breathing, it could be relaxation exercises, it could be mindfulness practices, it could be cognitive reframing. That means that cognitive reframing is reframing your thinking pattern, so to manage stress, anger, and other negative emotions. So once you are aware of your emotions, you tend to next step is to manage your emotions. So, and next, for this example, for examples, you take a few deep breaths and count to 10 before you respond to a rude email or before you start your presentation. What it does is it allows yourself to calm down before reacting impulsively. So the next thing you could do, you practice progressive muscle relaxation to relieve physical tension and anxiety before a big exam. We all have experienced this. If we have an annual exam or something, we are really tensed. So we can also try some physical exercises before coming to a exam to calm ourselves, to relax. So you can also reframe a negative situation into a more positive one. So shifting, your perspective and reducing your emotional distress. So this is what is called cognitive reframing. That means reframing your thinking pattern. So instead of thinking negatively in a situation, reframing that thoughts into a positive one. So, shifting your perspective and reducing your emotional distress. So, what is self motivation then? Then comes self motivation. So, self motivation refers to the ability to set goals, to direct your energy towards achieving them, and maintain enthusiasm and resilience in the face of challenges. So, how can we build motivation? So it could be like by curiosity, by passion, and if we have a sense of purpose. So you can motivate yourself if you have a goal, if you have a purpose in life. So self motivation, is the ability to set goals, direct your energy towards achieving them, maintain enthusiasm and resilience in the face of challenges. So how? By curiosity, by passion, by having a sense of purpose in life, purpose or higher purpose in life. So for example, you set realistic and achievable goals for yourself, breaking them down into smaller steps to stay focused and motivated. You set some realistic and achievable goals for yourself. So 5 years, in 3 years, in 2 years, whatever your time frame is, whatever your goal is. And then breaking them down into small actionable steps. And then to stay focused and stay motivated. So, next is you reward yourself for achieving milestones and celebrate your progress. So, that helps in maintaining a positive attitude and boosting your motivation. So, the next thing is you find inspiration and encouragement from others who share your interests and goals. So, building a support network to help you, stay motivated. So these are the examples, of self motivation. So next important factor is empathy. So empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. So this involves stepping outside your own perspective and seeing things from their point of view. So, this ability allows you to build strong relationships and connect with others on a deeper level. So, what does empathy do? This allows you to build strong relationships and to connect with others on a deeper level and to respond to their needs with compassion and understanding. So, the next thing is here examples. So what can be done, to in empathy? You listen attentively to a friend who is going through a difficult time. So you're offering them support and validation without judgment. That is one way of being empathetic. Next way is you adjust your communication style and tone based on the emotional state of the person you are interacting with and ensuring clear and compassionate communication. So, the next example could be you can sense subtle cues in others' facial expressions and body language. As you go forward in learning emotional intelligence, you are able to sense even subtle cues in others, that is, facial expressions, body language, allowing you to better understand their emotional state and respond accordingly. So, social skills. The next fifth thing is social skills. So social skills here is the ability to build and maintain healthy relationship with others, to be social, the skills which will help you to be to build and maintain healthy relationship with others. So what are those is this includes, what all this includes is effective communication, active listening, conflict resolution, collaboration, and the ability to navigate social situations with grace and confidence. So, for example, you effectively manage a conflict with colleague by focusing on the issue at hand and expressing your concerns in a respectful and constructive manner. That is really important. Next is you actively listen to others without interrupting, allowing them to feel heard and understood. At times, the only thing your colleague or your friend or the people closer to you want you to do is they want to feel heard and understood. So you actively listen to others without interrupting, allowing them to feel heard and understood, which strengthens your relationships. So you readily adapt your social behavior to different settings and groups of people, so demonstrating your cultural sensitivity and social awareness. So by understanding and developing these five key ingredients of emotional intelligence, you can absolutely unlock immense personal and professional potential. So you can enhance your relationships, improve your communication skills, achieve your goals, navigate life's challenges with greater resilience and self awareness. So, this brings an end to this session. I will discuss the remaining parts in the next session. So, thank you for staying tuned. And if you have any queries or suggestions, please do mention it in the comment section.